Alright, we are back with the series. This is guitar number 2. Sorry, it's been a while. I'm back here, and I want to tell you about Marty. So Marty is a Martin. Very clever name, I know. I bought this in June of I want to say 2016, and at the time it was actually the biggest guitar purchase, actually it might have been the biggest purchase I'd ever made. Maybe it was 2015. Let's see, I was 16 years old, and the story of Marty is it's a Sitka spruce top, and I just fell in love with the back. It's just got this really cool, I forget what this is called, but it's got something called Richlite as the fretboard, which I think is compressed like paper particles at a very high heat, so it's probably a cheaper, than something like ebony rosewood, obviously, but it still sounded and felt really good. So now this was part of Martin's X series. This is right around the time that Ed Sheeran's Multiply was out, and so they had like a smaller version of this guitar that was like Ed Sheeran, signature branded. This is just basically like an orchestra model or 0018. It's definitely not a dreadnought. Pretty comfortable size. Dreadnoughts to me aren't super comfortable, as good as they sound, and so it was a nice size. I was saving up for a long time for it because I bought Stallion. I knew that I needed an acoustic guitar. I love the idea of a Martin. I like the darker, richer tone as far as in my opinion, the Taylors are very sparkly and bright. So I liked kind of the Martin tone. Now, somebody like Kurt Cobain played it at the Unplugged show. I think that was something else that I really liked about Martin was, that had a pretty big influence on it, my liking for the brand. And so when this came out, this kind of series, this was a very, budget line version of Martin. And it was very accessible, very affordable for somebody in high school who really needed a very strong and solid acoustic guitar. Before this, I had an Epiphone. It was a Sunburst. I paid about 200, let's see, I think it was 250 list, but I don't think I paid that much for it. And it was good, but the fretboard felt really dry. And so if you've ever played a pretty budget-end guitar, you probably know what I mean by the strings felt really sharp. And I know that probably just replacing would have been a nice upgrade, but it felt like the fretboard was very dry. It just didn't feel like it was very comfortable to play, so I knew I wanted to get rid of it. I actually ended up selling that one to a friend who was looking to get started with guitar, and that put some of that money went towards Marty. So I want to say that I paid about $350 or $360 for Marty. I don't remember the exact amount. One of the things I do remember is I bought a Guitar Center gift card off of a friend on my tennis team, because he was in a local mariachi band, and he played, I want to say he played the accordion, but he was a great singer as well, so he might have done some singing, but I think he either got that Guitar Center gift card as a birthday present or a gift from being in the band and doing some gigs. And he's like, I just don't really have anything I'm going to buy at Guitar Center. I know that you purchase guitars, so I'll sell it. It might have been $50, and I bought it for $40s. When I went in to use that, there was some trouble with it, and they ended up giving me, I think, even more credit than it was worth. So I forget exactly how that shook out, but props to Guitar Center for making a 16-year-old kid happy. On the aesthetic sides, those are the things that kind of stuck out. They got this beautiful back of the neck. This guitar is currently, I want to say, in Dad Fad. I think this is just an F, not an F sharp. And so it has a pretty nice, has a nice chord when it's just being open. And the reason I did that was to kind of detune it. And that's what you heard in the opening song. And part of that reason too is there's actually a crack in the body here. And so what this guitar taught me, unfortunately the hard way, was that humidity is really important, and I live in a place where 4 seasons are 100% 4 seasons. This was a couple years ago now. I noticed a small little crack in the body, and unfortunately that was really a sign I needed to take in some of my guitars to get readjusted and tuned. And one of the other ones right behind me, Candy's pickguard was just not sitting flush anymore on the guitar. And so when I took it into the Guitar Center to get it kind of realigned, and I said, hey, what do you think's going on? And he goes, well, it's the classic case of you're not humidifying your guitars enough. So I bought some hygrometers, and in case you don't know, because I didn't, what you want to keep your guitars at if you're hanging it up is 40 to 55% general room humidity. When I popped out the hygrometer, which measures humidity for the first time, it was at 21%. So I was about halfway to the lowest possible required humidity. And so no wonder that the moisture was leaving the guitar, and it cracked. And so this guitar, again, taught me the hard way. You have to take good care of your guitars if they're going to be out. And so in order to put less stress and tension on the body, I have it in a lower tuning. And again, why that's also kind of fun is you can just kind of come along and play a cool chord just with, you know, all 6 strings. And just, you know, up here. It also can have kind of a more of a sassy tone. It's cool to kind of work on some slide guitar, and so I've really turned it into a positive off of, you know, something that I kick into myself to for still this day. This is 2 years ago. Marty's been with me since, again, 2015. I remember I was so excited when I bought it. I went to a grad party later that day, and I saw my orchestra teacher, and I was like, "Hey, Mr. Olson, I bought a Martin," and I was just so excited about it. I took this to some open mic nights, played with it a couple times to my gig. I don't know if I actually ended up playing. I don't know if I had a dedicated acoustic piece, but it's my backup guitar. I even have this funny memory once of I think I was just curious what it would be if I plugged this thing in, because it's an acoustic electric model. It's got a Fishman pickup in here, and I think I plugged it in at Ian's house, our drummer, in the basement. He had a whole rig. His dad was a bassist, so he had a Marshall JM 3000. And I think I plugged this thing in with my DS1, and you'd be surprised how good it sounded. It almost felt illegal. It almost felt illegal to have an acoustic guitar plugged into a DS1. But somebody like Kurt Cobain and MTV Unplugged, man who sold the world. So I mean, I guess it is what it is. But I guess the final kind of note is the Fishman pickups in this are very good. And what I learned, kind of I guess also the hard way, is for the longest time it wasn't working. I was like, oh geez, I guess I just have to play it normal. You know, I couldn't even plug it into Logic and record anything. And I kind of figured this out trying to film this video a number of months ago. And there's a Velcroed pack down here that takes I forget what kind of battery it is, but it's pretty easy. You can detune some strings if you'd like to get more access. But you take out the Velcro. It's a 9-volt battery, I want to say. You just put the battery cap back on, you reapply it, and it's good to go. So it turns on when you plug something in, and it's got 2 settings. I want to say one's volume and one's tone. But overall, really, really good guitar. You can still pick these up today at Guitar Center, new or used. They're a pretty common used guitar, and I don't see any reason that you'd have to buy new. So you could definitely pick one up used, probably for about $300 to $500. Again, I paid $350, but it was on a big markdown. I don't really know why. They have different models. They have like a cutaway dreadnought. They have smaller ones. So if you have like a junior, a kid player, or if you're just a smaller person, or you just like a smaller instrument, like the Ed Sheeran models are actually really, really small, and very, very manageable for somebody who's maybe younger and wants to learn guitar, or just doesn't have super big hands, and wants to be able to comfortably stretch and reach, and just not feel like your elbows in the sky. So, you know, that's kind of the story behind Marty. Marty doesn't have a rich history with me, but that's okay. You know, Marty's taught me a lot of things that has allowed me to take care of other guitars, and Marty sits on the wall as a unique one because it's the only one in dad fad tuning. It's just kind of fun to sometimes just grab it off the wall and just riff and make up some sort of bluesy, you know, almost R&B. I don't know what this would be. No, not R&B, but just more, I don't know, bluegrass. I don't know. That's gonna be a wrap on Marty. Next up in the series, don't do that. Next up in the series is gonna be Daphne. Hopefully when I don't have a stained shirt. All right, I'm gonna go get some Tide stick on this.